So you have a script that's pretty polished. You're starting to get a cast. What is your steps then to try and raise money? Did you try and just send it to like the typical place, Lionsgate, and try and get some funding that way through, more established production companies? Did you try and just raise the money independently? Maybe you can talk about that a little bit, about raising the money and getting this thing into production.
Yeah. So I had found a couple $100,000 through a producer who had made films in the past through like finding like outsourced funds. And he actually found $100,000 from like a club owner and $100,000 from a magazine owner that we're both going to throw in. And they were like, okay, so this is the scoop. We can change the title, probably change the ending a little bit. And which I feel like was stupid because that was the best part. But they're also like, but then they're like, we want you to have a co-director. And I was like, oh, I could have done the other two, maybe, but this co-director thing is a deal breaker for me. And they fought me on it. And then finally, they're like, look, the money's going to go away. And I was like, then sorry, I guess it's going away. And because I wasn't going to settle to because honestly, I guess if your listeners aren't familiar with the co-director scam, if your financier puts a co-director in the movie, they're basically like a blonde stooge at that point. They're just someone there to protect the money, but then they also feel like they can throw in some creative input, even though most of the time the writer is the director. These co-directors can throw in some creative input and blah, blah, blah. So when something is good, they take half the credit. But when something is bad, they step off, and then you're responsible for the screw up or whatever. They don't take half of the fault. So I highly recommend that anybody that's listening, if they ever have an opportunity to get money in with the sacrifice of having a co-director, find other money. It's worth it. I actually had to take, I said that I had, was a grip, and then I was a gaffer, and I learned that the gaffer that showed up with the trucks, made more money than the gaffer that didn't show up with the trucks. So I put together lighting packages that I was familiar with and made decent money that way. And actually decided, I was like, you know what? I'm going to take all the revenue from this lighting company. And from 2017, and I'm going to make this movie. And it was rough. I definitely was not expecting to pay for it myself, necessarily, but it was a very odd way to raise funding, but it worked and it did it. And honestly, I can say that if you can maintain your IP and your ownership without having to get money, even if you're paying for it yourself, if it's like you own it, where you're the only one getting checks from the distributor, is the most, fiscally rewarding way to go if it's possible.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Selling Your Screenplay podcast. If you'd like to hear the full interview, just go to sellingyourscreenplay.com/podcasts, or to go directly to the episode, just use the link in the show notes. Thanks for watching.